Hi guys, it's Bunnymon and welcome to today's video and welcome to another WWE reaction. This video was recommended by Israel Massey and he said you should do a reaction to WrestleMania, almost the WrestleMania videos, and it is the top 100 worst wrestling gimmicks ever. It's hilarious, cringe, shocking and baffling all at the same time. Cringe, shocking, baffling. I feel like these are all synonyms.
Did you go and search for more synonyms?
Alright guys, I did find it. Top 100 worst wrestling gimmicks ever. Let's go and check it out, shall we?
When analyzing the decorated history of pro wrestling, it's truly staggering how many atrocious gimmicks have been presented in top companies such as WWE
like,
and
who
WCW.
came up with these ideas?
Most of the gimmicks on this list are remembered for incredibly negative reasons, and leading fans to question what that wrestling company was actually thinking in debuting such awful gimmicks. Join us now as WrestleMania looks at the top 100 worst wrestling gimmicks. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists. Also check out our new website, WrestleMania.com. There you will find some exclusive lists and breaking news. Number 100, Super Shockmaster. The Shockmaster is well established as having arguably the worst debut in pro wrestling. Yet WCW weren't giving up hope on the character as they proceeded to debut a new version of the character titled a Super Shockmaster. The Super Shockmaster would wear a cheap blue mask, and it was clear that WCW were just trying to get any value they could out of the Shockmaster name. Or where's the original? Well, we'll get into that. Number 99, The Executioner. The Executioner was portrayed by Terry Gordy, and the gimmick was that of an ex-druid. The Executioner teamed up with Mankind.
This guy is like the wannabe Undertaker, but it went really wrong.
And feuded with the Undertaker, but the crowd failed to connect to such a lackluster character. Number 98, The Terrorist. The WCW decided to debut a character known as The Terrorist on their product in the late 80s. Now you can probably guess what the gimmick was supposed to represent, and it's unclear what on earth WCW executives were thinking at the time. Number 97, New Year's Baby. A former WWE champion Big Show was portrayed some atrocious gimmicks during his career. For instance, in late 2013, Vince McMahon was unhappy with his weight gain, so he made the Big Show become the New Year's Baby on Raw. This was obviously designed to humiliate the Big Show, and it's widely regarded as a low point in his career. Number 96, Cha-Cha Ping. Before Gunther became the ring general, he portrayed a character called Cha-Cha Ping. This would see the talented star having brightly colored...
Oh my god, that's Gunther! No, I can't believe it! No. Oh my god, there is no way this is Gunther.
Hair and wear a green singlet. It's safe to say it's obvious why this character failed to get over. Number 95, The Black Scorpion. The Black Scorpion was an infamous gimmick in WCW that was portrayed by several different wrestlers. The character debuted as an arch nemesis for Sting, and initially the role was played by Ole Anderson and then later Al Perez. When Perez quit, WCW had to think of an alternative creative outcome. It was at the 1990 Starrcade event that Sting defeated the Scorpion and finally unmasked the character, revealing Ric Flair to be the one behind the gimmick.
Oh my god, it's
Number 94, Techno Team 2000. Techno Team were a team that debuted in WWE's New Gen era. The duo wore silver and maroon outfits and was supposedly ahead of their time. The gimmick was designed to be a futuristic style gimmick, but it fell completely flat with the audience. Number 93, Piggy James.
Dude, no.
Piggy James was one of the more controversial and hated gimmicks in stories of the PG era. It saw Layla and Michelle McCool constantly belittle Mickie James and mock her weight, and they would call her Piggy James. Layla and McCool would even wear a fat suit in the hopes of embarrassing James as much as humanly possible. Number 92, The Goon. The Goon was in essence a hockey player turned wrestler, and that was the most substance the gimmick had. Interestingly, it's widely believed that Vince McMahon wanted Chris Jericho to play the dreaded character, but thankfully Y2J turned the proposal down. Number 91, Paul Burchill, incest character.
Excuse me?
Paul Burchill's pirate
What? A what character? What did you just say? Did I hear that right?
Was fun and unique, but the character he portrayed after the persona had run its course was truly disturbing. In 2008, Burchill and his kayfabe sister Katie Aaliyah would become an on-screen duo, and the controversial gimmick and storyline was that they were in love with each other. Number 90, Fantasio.
See, I don't know. I don't know about this, guys. How did this even roll? How did this work? America, you are sus. How did you allow this, America? Maybe some states. Maybe some states. I mean, I hear things. Never been to America before. I'm informed by Americans on my stream, okay? Like, I've heard things. Yep.
WWE would try to get anything and everything over in the New Gen era, and that included a wrestler who was a magician. Fantasia wore a black and white mime mask that revealed matching face paint when removed, and he performed basic magic tricks that the fans could care less about.
Yeah,
Number 89, Evan Sullivan. In 1994, WCW debuted Dave Sullivan, who was supposed to be the dyslexic brother of Kevin Sullivan. Due to his dyslexia, he would mispronounce his name as Evan. This was a gimmick that had aged horribly and would have no place in modern wrestling. Number 88, Damien Demento. Damien Demento is mostly known for being in the first ever main event of Raw against The Undertaker. The gimmick was that of an individual who hailed from the outer reaches of your mind, and he was mentally disturbed. Well, that's according to the WWE commentators at least. Number 87, Farouk, Gladiator gimmick. When WWE signed former WCW champion Ron Simmons, they of course decided to give him the most ridiculous gimmick imaginable. His first gimmick in WWE was that of Farouk Assad, who was supposedly a gladiator, and the only way we were supposed to know that he was a gladiator was from his bizarrely misshapen helmet.
That's such a
Why
bad
was he blue?
helmet.
Number 86,
Exactly.
Muffy. Muffy was Stephanie McMahon's personal trainer, and she only made a few appearances during the Attitude Era before her undeveloped character was scrapped indefinitely. Number 85, Yoshi Kwan. WCW's Yoshi Kwan was a gimmick which saw British wrestler Chris Champion wearing makeup in an attempt to resemble an Asian character.
Oh,
the gimmick was
are you trying to tell me that he was not Asian? We went a long way, guys. Yep. Would not roll.
Backwards and had really no place in wrestling. Number 84, Braun the Leprechaun. Braun the Leprechaun first appeared in the summer of 1996 in WCW, and he was managed by Jimmy Hart. It was unclear if the gimmick was supposed to be serious or not, as every single segment Braun was involved in felt awkward and cheap. Nevertheless, the persona was portrayed by Dwayne Bruce, who would go on to become a trainer at the WCW Power Plant. Number 83, Bongo the Caveman. The Bongo the Caveman gimmick only lasted weeks in WCW, and for good reason. The gimmick was portrayed by Tim Parker, and he wore a loincloth outfit and carried a club. It was utterly ridiculous that WCW genuinely thought that this would get over. Number 82, Leviathan. Long before Batista was, Batista, he portrayed a character in FCW called Leviathan.
What the hell?
This gimmick was basically a demon, but it was incredibly...
Honestly, you guys, when these wrestlers who are today legends, when they had to go through the humiliation they had to go through to be where they are today. Oh my god. Like, make a fool out of yourself, why don't you?
Cringeworthy, and it was apparent that Batista wasn't comfortable in the role. Thankfully, he moved on to something better. Number 81, Black Rain. When Goldust signed with TNA, he became Black Rain. Black Rain was a more sinister version of the beloved Goldust character, but it fell flat. The most interesting thing about the persona was that Black Rain had a pet rat. Yeah, that was it. Number 80, The Gobbledygooker. The 1990 Survivor Series saw one of the most infamous debuts of all time, as the Gobbledygooker made his WWE debut. At the Survivor Series event, a huge egg hatched, and it was revealed to be the gook.
Oh my god, I can't. Nah, I can't. What is this? He hatches from an egg. Okay, I saw it all.
Played by Hector Guerrero. The crowd in attendance began to boo as they expected something special, and they certainly didn't expect someone to appear dressed in a literal bird costume. Initial plans called for the Gobbledygooker to represent the company as a mascot, yet due to the atrocious feedback from fans, the character was thankfully scrapped. Number 79, Braden Walker. Chris Harris attained great success in TNA, yet when he signed for WWE, he was turned into an utter joke. Harris would become Braden Walker on the ECW brand, and it was unclear what exactly his gimmick was supposed to be, other than making the occasional knock-knock joke. The gimmick was scrapped quickly, and WWE had no future plans for the former TNA Tag Team Champion. Number 78, ECW Zombie. When WWE's version of ECW launched in 2006, they decided to debut a zombie character. This was supposed to be a serious character, but it was
I mean, jeez, brother. Zombie. This is how my brother used to follow me around the house pretending to be a zombie. Zombie. This is fun. I love
laughable
this
at
video.
best, and it was brutalized by the Sandman to the delight of the ECW
Dude, that
audience.
doesn't work.
Number
He needs to
77,
kill it
Jim
by
Neidhart, a
stabbing
KKK
his
member.
head, I guess, with
At an
that.
independent show in 1995, Virgil was set to
that how
take
he
on a
kills
wrestler
zombies?
known as Thug. And when Thug made his way down to the ring, it appeared as if Thug and his bodyguard were dressed in a Ku Klux Klan outfit.
No.
The bodyguard then revealed himself to be former Heart
no.
Foundation member Jim Neidhart. The two then proceeded to lay out Virgil and would even begin to hang him from the ring ropes. Number 76, the Stormtrooper. The Stormtrooper debuted in 1988
That
in
is not
Smoky
a
Mountain Wrestling, and the
Stormtrooper.
gimmick was that the
Have you
Stormtrooper
seen how
was
a
a legit.
Stormtrooper looks? That's a Stormtrooper right there. What are you talking about? I'm offended. As a Star Wars fan, I am offended.
Nazi. Yeah, that's right, a Nazi. The masked man would goose step into
A
the
Nazi. A Stormtrooper Nazi. Dude, who sits down and just sits down and comes up with these ideas and writes them Yeah, that sounds like a great, what brain? What brain? What brain?
ring and would wear swastikas all over his body. Even in 1988, this might have seemed a little over the top. Number 75, Seven. When Goldust returned to
Okay, not
WCW
bad,
in
like
late
some type of
1999, he began to portray a character known
horror,
as Seven.
scary
The character
guy,
is
yeah.
mostly known for bizarre and
Michael
creepy
Myers,
vignettes,
yep.
which saw him standing outside
That's
a
a kid.
child's bedroom window.
That is a
The gimmick
child
was
there. That is a child there. Oh my god. So we are safe to assume what's his preferences.
reported to have been based on the strangers from the movie Dark City, but was eventually dropped after there was concern that the gimmick was being interpreted as a child abductor. Number 74,
Abductor.
Chief
Oh, okay.
Morley.
Just
When the Val
abductor?
Venus character had run its natural course, WWE decided to reintroduce Venus under his real name of Sean Morley, and he would eventually become an authority figure in WWE known as Chief Morley. This gimmick was completely lifeless and received zero reaction from the audience. Number 73, The Renegade.
Even
The
I
Renegade
didn't
was
give a
basically
reaction to him.
WCW's cheap version of the Ultimate Warrior, and nobody could ever figure out the point of the character's existence. WCW were doing okay in terms of ratings and the creative direction was being well received, so to debut a character that was in essence a parody of an iconic WWE gimmick
That's
seemed
not
nonsensical.
smart.
Number 72, Buzzkill. Vince Russo would do anything he could to make WCW stand out, and this extended to ripping off beloved WWE characters. Russo would give Brad Armstrong the gimmick of Buzzkill,
What
and it
is
was a
he, a
complete
Jamaica
rip-off of
guy?
his
Like,
brother, the Road Dogg's gimmick in WWE.
please, let's
Russo
go.
would
Is
even
he a
implement a
hipster?
theme
What
that
is
was
he?
oddly similar to the New Age Outlaws' trademark theme song. The gimmick, to nobody's surprise, was met with disdain from whatever fans WCW had left at the time. Number 71, Fat Chick Thriller. Following
Fat Chick
WCW's
Thriller.
Bash at the Beach
Oh
event,
my god, do not. What does that even mean? He prefers fat chicks? Like, no shame. But do we have to announce stuff now?
in 2000, WCW decided to repackage
Oh my
Mike
God,
Awesome as the
does! This would work perfectly in this era with the woke era. I am telling you, if this was a joke back then, this would be perfect today, all right? Perfect.
Fat Chick
Although
Thriller.
they're,
Awesome
like,
would become
calling it
infatuated with
fat
larger
chick
women,
would
and
probably
this is
not gonna work.
notoriously one of the worst gimmicks WCW could have possibly
Oh my
given
God.
the
Fat
talented
chicks don't
star.
wear that.
Number 7,
Like, if they're
TL
fat
Hopper.
doesn't mean that they're
The
wearing
WWE's obsession
that.
of debuting wrestlers with professions went too
Ew.
far when they debuted TL Hopper. Hopper was a stereotypical plumber and fell flat upon arrival. How a plumber gimmick was supposed to get over in WWE is anyone's guess.
Hey, but
Number
Mario
69,
worked. Super Mario
Stuttering
worked.
Matt Morgan. When WWE reintroduced Matt Morgan in 2005, they decided to give him a stuttering gimmick. This
I
was
don't think this
designed to
guy
be a
deserves
heel
any
gimmick,
gimmick.
but a stutter instantly making a
That's a
wrestler a heel was a
stutter,
bold and daring creative choice.
So
Number
mean.
68, The Real Double J.
Somebody
Road Dogg has
hated
been
him.
given some awful gimmicks over his career, but The Real Double J was perhaps the worst. Following Jeff Jarrett's WWE departure, Road Dogg would claim that he was the real singer of the song With My Baby Tonight, and the gimmick and character was quickly relegated to the lower mid-card. Number 67, The Funkasaurus. Fans were stunned when Brodus Clay returned to WWE TV as a dancing dinosaur from
No.
Planet Funk. Despite the gimmick and character having
A dancing dinosaur from Planet Funk? Oh,
a short shelf life, WWE put a ton of effort into making the character work, and he was even given an extended segment at WrestleMania 28. Number 66, Leif Cassidy.
Oh, Jesus.
Before Al Snow had an interesting
my
relationship
God.
with a mannequin head, he would portray Leif Cassidy in WWE.
Oh my
Cassidy would join
God.
forces with Marty Jannetty to form the New Rockers,
Jeez,
and the
brother.
crowd simply didn't care about the reincarnation of one of the most popular tag teams of all time. Number 65, Shinobi.
We're still at
The New
65.
Rockers
This
gimmick
will take
wasn't
a
the only
while.
gimmick WWE would hope to get
can't.
Al Snow over, as he also portrayed an infamous character called Shinobi, who was a ninja assassin. The character is mostly known for losing to Shawn Michaels, and interestingly, WWE would bring a version of the character back in 2004
I mean,
for
the
a one-off
outfit isn't
match
that
with
bad.
Tajiri.
I actually
Number
kind of dig
64,
it.
Tugboat. Fred Ottman is
Bye-bye.
considered to be one of the nicest guys in wrestling,
Shockmaster.
but the majority of his gimmicks are remembered for all the wrong reasons. His character of Tugboat was supposedly trained by Hulk Hogan, and it would see Tugboat wear a red striped shirt and a sailor's hat. The most entertaining thing about the gimmick was that Tugboat would often pull an imaginary cord out of an air horn and make the hilarious Number 63, Doink the Friendly Clown.
Oh my God,
When
get
Doink the
out,
Clown
man.
first
This is
arrived in WWE,
nightmares.
he was presented as a menacing and scary heel. Then
Was
WWE
it like
made the
this
call
almost
to
at the same time when America did have a serial killer that was a clown? Like, there is this guy, I don't know his name, but I remember I watched a documentary. Yeah, well, that's great.
turning babyface,
That's
and this is
perfect.
when the
Babyface
gimmick went
clown?
completely downhill. The gimmick
Oh
turned
my
into
God,
a kid-friendly,
hello.
cartoonish
Kids
character
are
that
not
fell
the only ones
dramatically down the
watching.
card. It was a massive shame as the villainous version of Doink had so much potential. Number 62, Vinny Vegas. Before Diesel and Kevin Nash came Vinny Vegas. Vegas was
Okay.
basically a
Why
wisecracking
does this
mobster,
guy
but it
need
was
any
apparent that
gimmick?
this wasn't the gimmick or character that was going to
Like, he
take Nash
doesn't need
to
any
superstardom. Number 61, Oz. As well as Vinny Vegas, Nash also portrayed one of the most notorious gimmicks in WCW history, as he portrayed a character known as Oz. Oz was a character based on the children's story The Wizard of Oz, and it saw Nash wear a
By
ridiculous
the way,
lime
I've never watched The Wizard of Oz in my life. And I have a feeling that I'm the only human out there who has the chance to watch it and hasn't watched it yet.
green robe and laughable fake grey beard. Number 60, Who. A gimmick being introduced so
Who? His
WWE
name is
commentators
Who.
can make terrible puns
Owl.
is never a good idea. But that was the logic of giving Jim Neidhart the Who gimmick in the 90s. Fans literally knew nothing about the gimmick or character, and Who's matches just consisted of a few minutes of Vince McMahon and Jerry Lawler making unfunny jokes at the commentary desk. Number 59, General Huge Erection. When Hugh Morris became the leader of the Misfits and
Why does it sound like a Twitch username? Huge erection? I said that out loud, didn't I? Please don't clip this out of context. Oh my god! Oh, this,
in
video, this is only 30
WCW, he
minutes
decided
already.
to rebrand himself as General Huge
Oh, no
Erection.
shit.
The obvious pun aside, the
Oh,
gimmick was a
he
complete
rebranded to
waste of
that.
time, as the only thing different
General
about Morris'
Erection.
presentation was that he wore military-themed gear. Number 58,
What
the
a military
Shark.
has to do with that?
John Tenta was so determined to make his shark
Oh
gimmick
my
work in WCW
God.
that he even changed the tattoo on his
fish
arm
rat.
from a tiger to a shark.
From a
The
tiger.
gimmick of a wrestler
so
having
much
characteristics of
beautiful.
sharks could only go
So
so
much
far.
better.
Despite Tenta's commitment, the gimmick was never going to work. Number 57, Giant Silver. Giant Silver had size, presence, and WWE were no doubt going to try and make him a main event
like
attraction.
Andre the Giant,
Silver would
yeah.
become a member of the Oddities
Look how
faction,
huge
but
he
whenever
is.
he wrestled, he was quickly exposed as he was appalling in the ring. His gimmick was literally that he was tall and would wear casual clothing like he was visiting a local mall. Number 56, Golga. Speaking of the Oddities faction, Golga's gimmick was perhaps even worse. Golga was portrayed by John Tenta, and his
Thank
gimmick saw him wear
God, this was not the wrestling that I am watching. This is not it. Thank God, like I would never, like there's no way you
a
would
mask
make me
due
watch
to a
this.
bone disorder,
Maybe
and he
for
would
the
be
lulz.
obsessed with Eric Cartman from South Park. Number 55, The Fake Undertaker.
The fake
WWE
one?
believed that debuting a fake version of The Undertaker and then reintroducing the real Undertaker would do major business, so much so that a match between the two main evented at the 94 SummerSlam. The gimmick was widely criticized as fans simply didn't care. All they wanted to see was Mark Calloway's iconic portrayal on their screen.
Ah.
Number 54,
See, this tells
the
me
Red
like
Rooster.
you can be a copy,
Terry
but you will
Taylor
always
had
be a
immense
copy.
talent as a pro wrestler, but the Red Rooster persona was never going to make him world champion. The infamous gimmick saw him don red tights, and he would even strut like a rooster to the sheer confusion of the audience. Number 53, the Kiss Demon. The Kiss Demon persona was introduced as part of WCW's deal with the band Kiss. The Demon's entire presentation was based on Gene Simmons and was portrayed by Dale Torberg. While visually impressive, the gimmick had no purpose other than to promote Kiss, and it didn't help that Torberg wasn't exactly bright hot in the ring, so most of the Demon's matches were very less than stellar. Number 52, Hakeem. In 1988, Slick announced that WWE star The One Man Gang was now reborn as African and planned to embrace his roots. Slick then announced that gang would be known as his new name, Hakeem the African Dream. The gimmick instantly received backlash as Hakeem delivered a promo that was deemed as slightly racist. The one-man gang character was popular and had more room to grow, but the Hakeem persona was completely insensitive and not what fans were pushing to see. Number 51.
I mean, if done right, it could be like really like culturally appropriate, you know, and it could be something that you are proud of to represent. If done right, there is nothing wrong in doing that. But you have to have that blood. You have to have that nationality. You have to have like something that is related to being an African. You know, like you cannot just present an African. You should be one.
Josh. Upon signing with WCW, Matt Osborne was given the gimmick of Big Josh. The gimmick must have taken a matter of seconds to come up with, as he was an outdoorsman who had a friendly connection with bears, even bringing some down to the ring.
Okay,
it was
this
pretty
is cool.
Number 50,
Yeah, why?
Skip Sheffield.
That's fine.
Now, before debuting as Ryback, Ryan Reeves used a character known as Skip Sheffield. The gimmick had poor writing and execution behind it, as the character was just a cowboy, a gimmick that had been delivered 100 times before. Number 49, the Johnsons TNA. The Johnsons tag team represented the worst of TNA. The team, which consisted of Richard and Rod Johnson, would compete in flesh-colored bodysuits, which were without question amongst the most horrific ring attires in wrestling history. This was the bottom of the barrel in terms of a...
Nowadays, when we see this, we are not that much surprised, because this looks like Kim Kardashian's Kim's. You know, this look like all these women that are wearing like from top to down the same color, like leggings and like the same color. Like, it is not that bad anymore. We can deal with this, but maybe back in the day it was definitely like a condom walking.
Character and gimmick, and it's hardly a surprise their run in the company was brief. Number 48, the Dicks.
Oh my God, the name of Dicks!
WWE decided to debut a new tag team known as the Dicks.
What's the name of it?
The duo were dressed as Chippendales dancers, and the gimmick was dead on arrival, as the crowd just didn't care about such a terrible gimmick. We don't blame them. Number 47, the Ding Dongs. The Ding Dongs are often found at the top of the list of WCW's worst gimmicks. WCW executives believed that the duo would be insanely popular in the company, but they were wrong. Very wrong.
Why? How? How would they be insanely popular? On what premises? Ding Dongs? Since when is a Ding Dong highly popular? Do you think rings out there are highly popular? Like you hear a ring, you're like, damn, that's a highly popular ring.
As the moment the duo appeared on screen wearing colorful outfits, the crowd booed immediately. Now, the gimmick is hard to explain, but in essence, one of the members of the Ding Dongs would ring a bell on the outside when the other was on the offense. It was incredibly frustrating, and it's no surprise the WCW audience absolutely loathed it.
Yeah,
Number
like
47,
they hate the sound,
Oklahoma. Now, there have been some tasteless and controversial parodies over the years, but the parody of Jim Ross that WCW presented in 2000 went a step too far. The character would be known as Oklahoma and portrayed by former WWE writer Ed Ferrara. Ferrara would dress in a manner similar to JR, but he would mock JR's Bell's palsy, which was where the majority of the criticism for the character came from. Number 45, Meat. And most fans remember Sean Stasiak for his time in WCW, or you may not have, but he also had a number of runs in WWE. His run in 1999 came as the infamous character known as Meat. Meat was presented as a boy toy for the Pretty Mean Sisters, and it goes without saying that the name of Meat was holding him back from ever being taken seriously. Number 45, Shelton Benjamin's Mama. During the Ruthless Aggression era, WWE attempted to do something new with Shelton Benjamin. Benjamin would embark on a losing streak, which led to his Mama becoming an on-air character. Mama Benjamin would slap and yell at Benjamin whenever he lost, and she slowly began to interfere in his matches, turning him heel in the process. Number
love
43,
this.
Saba Simba. In 1990, the legendary Tony Atlas returned to WWE under the name of Saba Simba. In a unique move, WWE acknowledged the fact that the new character was in fact Atlas, but Vince McMahon on commentary decided to state that Atlas had rediscovered his roots and had now legally changed his name to Saba Simba. The gimmick was a warrior of a tribe, but it lacked any depth, and naturally it received a ton of criticism from being based on a racist stereotype. Number 42, Naked Midian.
But I don't get it. You say it's racist stereotype, but he is African American. He is the stereotype of of what he is representing. The only thing is that maybe in the way that if he's joking about it or kind of like shitting on it or whatever, but if it is taken seriously, then I don't think there is anything wrong. Like, for example, Wakanda Forever or whatever, like you watch it and you see them having all these stereotypes and it's epic. It's amazing because it's a representation of a culture and a tradition. Like, what? Am I missing something?
Do we need to say any more? Well, we still will. So after his dealings with the Ministry and Darkness were over, WWE decided to repackage Midian as Naked Midian. He'd run around the arena in a thong, and this was the Attitude Era at its very worst.
Oh my
Number
God,
41,
his hood is
Isaac
out.
Yankem DDS. Before Glenn Jacobs was chosen to portray the iconic Kane character, he was given the character of an evil dentist, Isaac Yankem DDS. Now, to be fair, Jacobs did the best with a terrible gimmick, and he did manage to get a few matches with Bret Hart, which was great experience for a name that would be a mainstay with WWE for the next 2 decades. Number 40, Friar Ferguson. In April of '93, Mike Bell would be given the gimmick of Friar Ferguson. Ferguson was a mad monk, and the character received backlash from the Catholic Church of New York, leading to WWE scrapping the character indefinitely. Number 39, Bastion Booger. Mike Bell's next character would arguably be even worse, as Bell became Bastion Booger. Booger was an unkempt, greedy man who wrestled in an attire that was way too revealing. Booger's entire character was that he was disgusting, and the WWE commentary team would spend the majority of his matches commenting on his unpleasant odor. He by far has the most disgusting finisher ever in WWE or even wrestling. Number 38, the Shockmaster. The Shockmaster's debut in WCW has been coined as wrestling's most infamous debut due to how downright hilarious and botched it was. WCW's plans for the Shockmaster debut were for him to make a dramatic entrance on Flair for the Gold, but sadly it went horribly.
Yeah, it went horribly wrong. I remember watching this segment about it. Basically, from the rehearsals and whatnot, the wall were not that thick, and the lower part of the wall was embraced by a thicker wall, so he couldn't break it where his feet are, so he couldn't literally jump over the wall, and he tripped and fell down. And then he lost his helmet, so we saw who he was. He tried his best to get it back on, but everybody saw it, and it all went downhill. It was a wreck.
In the segment, the camera panned to a section of the set where a small pyro explosion went off. The Shockmaster then crashed through the wall wearing a Stormtrooper helmet, which was covered in silver glitter.
And the problem with the Stormtrooper helmet, like, the glitter is not a problem. I like the glitter, but he couldn't see shit. Like, he had difficulty seeing through it. So why would you impale yourself like that through your costumes? Like, if you are supposed to perform something and you know that this costume is gonna cost you, why you do it? Make yourself comfortable. If this goes viral, let's say it worked out, you have to wear that helmet for the rest of your life. Like, no, thank you.
Over and his helmet awkwardly stumbled off his head. The infamous character was then doomed from this point onwards. You can even hear the Bulldog say he fell on his ass. Number 37, Kerwin White. In 2005, WWE decided to give Chavo Guerrero a brand new gimmick. Chavo would now go under the name of Kerwin White, and the gimmick would revolve around Chavo denouncing his Mexican heritage. The gimmick infamously involved Chavo making insensitive racial remarks to black wrestlers, which was a cheap and tasteless way to get heat on the character. Number 36, the Booty Man. Brutus Beefcake was an outstanding gimmick, but unfortunately most of Ed Leslie's other gimmicks were atrociously executed. One of his gimmicks in WCW saw him become the Booty Man. The gimmick involved him being infatuated with his own backside, and of course, it fell flat almost instantly.
Yeah, like...
Number 35, the Running Man. Now, before Beefcake had the dreaded Booty Man gimmick, he portrayed a character that was never given an official name by WCW. In 1991, a masked character would run in during matches, attack heels, and then just disappear. It was never made clear what the creative plans were for the character, but it was quickly dropped without any explanation. Number 34, Rockabilly. A Billy Gunn was never going to break out of the lower mid-card with the Rockabilly gimmick. The character saw him become the protege of the Honky Tonk Man, and it came across incredibly forced on WWE TV. Thankfully, WWE quickly realized this and decided to have Gunn join forces with the Road Dogg to become the New Age Outlaws. Number 33, Key. The Attitude Era had endless characters that have aged terribly, and Key is certainly one of them. Key was portrayed by Vic Grimes, and his character was that he was a drug dealer and was somewhat associated with Prince Albert and Droz. Number 32, PG-13. PG-13 were a tag team combination consisting of JC Ice and Wolfie D. The duo were known for delivering horrible raps in the ring and having two of the worst wrestling names of all time. Number 31, Moppy. The WWE decided to give the talented Perry Saturn a new gimmick in 2001. Saturn would fall in love with a mop.
Oh,
yeah, that's right,
God.
a mop. Whilst the gimmick was ridiculous, it did result in Saturn receiving the most positive crowd response of his entire WWE tenure. Number 30, Max Moon. The idea for the Max Moon character, according to Conan, was a cyborg that was from outer space. The costume itself reportedly cost $13,000, meaning that WWE heavily invested in the bizarre and outlandish character. The character would debut in 1992 and would be portrayed by Conan.
This is $13,000! What is he wearing right now? That's $13,000! I hope the picture we saw before was the actual outfit that cost $13,000, not this.
Instantly, and Conan opted to leave WWE due to backstage issues. Despite the gimmick being lackluster at best, McMahon decided to put the rather comedic costume on the wrestler, that being Paul Diamond. Number 29, Man Mountain Rock. Man Mountain Rock debuted in 1995 and he wore a colourful outfit and played a large guitar shaped as the classic WWF logo. The gimmick was incredibly annoying and it was unclear if fans were supposed to root or detest the character. Number 28, Quang. Quang was portrayed by Savio Vega, and the character made his official WWE debut in early 1994. The gimmick was criticized for being cliché and stereotypical, as the gimmick was a mysterious Asian wrestler, and to try and enhance the gimmick, WWE had Quang use martial arts moves, and of course, the Asian Mist. Can't forget that. Number 27, Avatar. In an attempt to cash in on the success and popularity of the Power Rangers, WWE would give the future Al Snow a character known as Avatar. The gimmick saw him come to the ring and put on a mask to wrestle, and it was implied that he was obtaining strength and power from the mask. Number 26, Beaver Cleavage. When Headbanger member Thrasher suffered an injury during the Attitude Era, WWE decided to repackage the other Headbanger Mosh and would debut a new gimmick, and it would be known as Beaver Cleavage. This character would appear in black and white vignettes with his mother, and it was implied that their association went beyond the normal mother and son relationship.
Oh my
yeah, we'll let you work that one out.
No,
Number
thank
25,
you. I don't want to
Chaz,
work it out.
the woman beater.
Work it out.
Speaking of Mosh, the Beaver Cleavage character wasn't his only terrible gimmick, as when that gimmick came to an end, Mosh would use the name of Chaz, and he was involved in a storyline where he was supposedly beating his girlfriend. Eventually, it was discovered that his girlfriend was lying, and WWE decided to reform the Headbangers. Number 24, Giant Gonzalez. In early 1993, WWE decided they needed a new foe for The Undertaker, so they introduced the world to one of the worst characters in WWE history, Giant Gonzalez. Gonzalez legit stood at 7 feet tall and would wear a bodysuit which featured airbrushed fake muscles as well as fake hair scattered in random locations. The attire was laughable, and the audience simply couldn't take the attire or the gimmick very seriously. Number 23, Fake Diesel. When Diesel departed WWE in 1996, they decided to introduce a new version of Diesel played by the future Kane, Glenn Jacobs. The character was nonsensical, and it was evidence that WWE would do anything to try and defeat WCW in the Monday Night Wars. Number 22, Fake Razor Ramon. But it wasn't just Diesel who re-debuted following Kevin Nash's WWE exit in '96. As following the exit of Scott Hall, aka Razor Ramon, they also reintroduced the character now played by Rick Bogner. Just like the reaction to Diesel's reintroduction, the character was met with disdain from the WWE audience.
You can't do
Number
that.
21, Battle Cat. A character that acted like a cat was inevitably going to debut in a promotion like WWE, and a cat-type character debuted in the 90s under the name of Battle Cat. The character donned a cat-like mask, and to express his cat-like agility, he would perform basic gymnastics around the ring. Number 20, DDP the Stalker. When WWE signed the incredibly popular DDP in 2001, they decided to turn him into a villainous stalker. DDP would stalk The Undertaker's wife, and it's widely regarded as one of the worst character changes in wrestling history, and it completely annihilated DDP's run in the company. Number 9, Duke the Dumpster Droese. Duke the Dumpster Droese debuted in WWE in 1996, and he was a literal garbage man. He would carry a trash can to the ring, and it was never made clear how on earth the fans were supposed to positively connect to such a lame and underwhelming character. Number 18, Slam Master J. In 2009, WWE opted to repackage Jesse from Jesse and Festus as Slam Master J. Slam Master J was a rapper character, but it came across as awkward, unfunny, and fans ultimately hated the new persona. Number 17, Molly Holly's large backside. In 2002, the women in WWE had to take any storyline and gimmick handed to them in order to be awarded any TV time at all. In the summer of 2002, the main focus when it came to Molly Holly's character revolved around her so-called large backside. Babyfaces would mock and belittle her behind on a weekly basis, and the gimmick has aged incredibly poorly. Number 16, Karrion Kross's initial main roster persona. When Karrion Kross was initially called up to the main roster, Vince McMahon decided to drastically alter his presentation. Kross would no longer have Scarlett by his side, and he would now wear a hideous helmet and suspenders. The presentation immediately destroyed Kross's aura and legitimacy, and it was hardly a surprise that he was released within a few months. Luckily, he came back and ditched the suspenders. Number 15, Jillian Hall's revolting growth. Before Jillian Hall debuted her singing gimmick, she was known for her image consultancy gimmick, which saw her have a bizarre growth on her face. It's unclear what this gimmick was supposed to achieve, but the most notable moment saw the boogeyman eat it off her face. Number 14, The Lesbians. In 2002, WWE became desperate to recapture the spark of the Attitude Era, so they hyped up lesbians having sex live on Raw. Of course, this never happened, and the women who were literally given the name of the Lesbians were attacked by 3-minute warning. Number 13, Natalia's farting. In an attempt to repackage and give Natalia some much-needed character, WWE gave her a gimmick which saw her fart backstage.
Do not tell me WWE audience and fans love women farting. Just no. No, we're not gonna go there. I literally reacted to some women farting videos, funny videos. I think it was on my Bunnymon TV channel, not this one. You guys, there were legit men in the comment getting hyped about it. They were asking me to fart on screen. Ew. Oh my god. What is wrong with people?
It was painfully unfunny, but it was apparent that Vince McMahon was finding the segments and character utterly hilarious, as the segments continued for what seemed like an eternity. Number 12, Fake Kane. One of the more criticized storylines of 2006 saw the debut of the imposter Kane, played by Luke Gallows. The real Kane was confronted by a man wearing the classic Kane attire, but the issue was that the attire was poorly fitted, and it looked like WWE had purchased the outfit from a fancy dress shop. Fans had no interest in seeing two Kanes collide, and even though the real Kane was somehow supposed to be the heel in the feud, he was cheered, and the imposter Kane character was scrapped within a few weeks. Number 11, Cedric Von Hausen. Before Johnny Gargano became one of the best in-ring talents in WWE, he would make an appearance on WWE TV in 2007 under the name of Cedric Von Hausen. His gimmick was supposed to be the champion of Liechtenstein, and there was no way that Gargano was ever going to be anything more than a jobber with this dreaded gimmick. Number 10, The Yeti. Ron Reis portrayed two notorious gimmicks in WCW. In 1995, he played the character The Yeti, and the Yeti was in essence a mummy and was involved in a bizarre segment where he performed a double bear hug alongside the Giant on Hulk Hogan. Number 9, Supergiant Ninja. Ron Reis's gimmick following the Yeti would see him become the Supergiant Ninja. This gimmick was generic and dull, and the outfit looked incredibly cheap. Due to how basic and underwhelming the character was, it would be scrapped relatively quickly. Number 8, Roadblock. The Roadblock character was such a literal character that Roadblock carried a genuine roadblock to the ring, and his attire would sometimes often match the color of the sign. Based on WCW's commentary for the character, it was implied that Roadblock was unstoppable, With a name like Roadblock, fans were having a tough time buying into WCW's explanation of the gimmick. Number 7. Men at Work. Men at Work was a tag team duo consisting of Chris Kanyon and Mark Starr. The gimmick was that of construction workers, and they would come to the ring in hard hats. Steady on with those out-of-the-box gimmicks, WCW. Number 6. Arachnaman. WCW decided to give Brad Armstrong the gimmick of Arachnaman. Arachnaman had a striking resemblance to Spider-Man, and it was no surprise when Marvel Comics threatened to sue WCW and they were forced to take the superhero character off TV.
Yeah.
Number 5. Christmas Creature. During Glenn Jacobs' time in the USWA, he portrayed a character known as the Christmas Creature. The creature competed in a green onesie with candy cane stripe, and the most interesting thing about the costume was that it was created by Jacobs' own mother. Number 4. Becky Lynch River Dancer. When Becky Lynch debuted in NXT, WWE decided to give Lynch a generic gimmick which saw her perform an Irish dance. The gimmick was hated by the fan base, but Lynch gave it her all. Thankfully, WWE realized that Lynch had major potential as a top female star, so the Irish dancing elements of her gimmick were scrapped.
Yeah.
Number 3. Festus. Luke Gallows would play his most infamous character to date when he portrayed the Festus persona. Festus was labeled as a mentally challenged and unresponsive man, but when the bell rung, he came alive. In a nice twist on a terrible gimmick, when Gallows joined CM Punk's Straight Edge Society, the Festus character was still canon, as CM Punk explained that Gallows' mental state as the Festus character was down to his alcohol addiction. Number 2. Abe Knuckleball Schwartz. Abe Knuckleball Schwartz's face was painted to look like a baseball, and he wore a jersey with the number 00 on the back. Schwartz was labeled as the MVP, which stood for the most violent player, but this truly never came across in his in-ring work. And number 1. Mantar. The Mantar character is widely considered to be the worst wrestling gimmick of all time.
Why?
Appearing in WWE, the gimmick was that of a Minotaur who would charge and trample his opponents. The gimmick was heavily loathed upon arrival, and it was a clear indication that WWE was struggling to come up with creative and compelling characters in the mid-90s. But there you have it, folks.
Dude, that's not the worst. Come on, number 1 is not the worst. You can't come to me and tell me that number 1 was the worst. Worse than the clown, worse than the roadblock. Worse than the farting girl, the mole on her face, giant thing, whatever. Worse than that guy, the giant guy who was against Undertaker. Like, you can't do... No. Okay, which one is the worst in your opinion? Let me know in the comment down below. I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. Make sure to like it. Liking the video is so important. Also, if you want to share extra love, you can go to the share button and copy the link. You don't have to share the video anywhere. Just copying the link will help with the algorithm. This is our little secret. Have a wonderful day, and see you tomorrow with a brand new video. My brain plop, just like there. See you. Bye bye.